What's up, former party people? This is Jerry, you know, the one who actually combs his hair on the A is for Alcoholic podcast. Now, if you're finding value in listening to the AIFA podcast every week and you want to support sharing it with others, we invite you to become a sustaining monthly or per show contributor. Go to patreon.com/AIFA. It's super easy and it only takes a quick moment. It's about as easy as buying one of those pre-cooked space chickens from the grocery store, taking it outside, giving it a big old kiss, and kicking it into traffic. Why would you do that? Anyway, you do you, and I'll do me. Again, go to patreon.com/AIFA. And with that, people, let's start the show.
A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John, and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism one letter at a time. We are back again, another week. How's your week been?
Another week down.
Another week down.
Another week. It's been pretty good. How's your week?
It's been good, man. It's I like I was telling you before, I've been missing the summer, and that's kind of bumming me out because I really like the heat and the sun and stuff like that. But I had a beautiful day today. It was that glorious autumnal sunshine and breeze and clouds, and it was really good. It was really good. But yeah, what about you?
It's been a pretty good week. I did that photo shoot for the Crone and Crow at Crone and Crow on Instagram. If you want to rent a costume in the Eugene, Oregon area, or just in the Oregon area at all, I was a steampunk man, cowboy.
I saw that.
I was Moses at one point. That mask was pretty rough. Yeah,
it was a rough mask.
Yeah, I took it off, and the Desi's aunt was like, "We need to put Lysol in that because you've been breathing in it." And I'm like, "Yeah, lots of people have been breathing. I'm not the only one.
I'm not the first one."
Yeah, I smell years of gimlets in that thing, man.
Holy Moses.
Holy Moses, indeed. It was a nice day, though. It was fall in Oregon. The trees are changing. The sky was clear. It was cold. It was in the, 60s today.
Yeah.
It was chilly. Yeah, it definitely is starting to... I love this weather, though. It's layers. I love layers, man.
You get all your cool coats and scarves and...
Yeah, man, you can't... I don't like summer. We do shorts, man. I don't like wearing shorts. This is where Walter and I agree, because I'm like, I'm not a child. Children wear shorts. That's that's Walter's voice in my head telling me that, and I'm like, absolutely, I agree with you.
Well,
children wear shorts.
Children wear shorts. Grown men don't wear shorts. You know the thing he always used to say, and this is the Walter from the Gluten is Not Your Problem podcast.
Right, exactly.
If you haven't checked it out, you should.
I like to mention at least once in every opening, but this is where he and I are in great agreement with that. Where I'm just like,
men don't wear or adults don't wear shorts. Grown ups
unless we're swimming. I don't really like sleeping or swimming. I don't like wearing shorts. I got great legs too, so I'm just keeping that from the world. Fuck you, world. This is my secret.
He also said he's like, grown men don't run across the street, John.
Yeah, we do though. I've been in shorts.
In shorts, but he was just. I think I was like cutting across the street, and we were jaywalking, obviously, and he just kept his casual stride. You think he was wearing his trench coat or something like that? He had that old suede trench coat or whatever. And
right.
He's like, grown men don't run across the street, and I was like, I just got to get across the street. But
yeah, I just don't want to get hit by a car.
I think living in California, the short thing is kind of not only inevitable, but it's necessary.
You have to. Yeah, and I'm sure there are
when it's 103 out.
I'm sure you can find some nice adult shorts. Just all shorts nowadays are like board shorts, and I just feel like a 10-year-old, you know.
And if you didn't know already, you're listening to the A is for Alcoholic podcast. If you want to hear two middle-aged men talk about the weather.
Yeah, exactly. Shit. I was sober today.
I was sober today too. Yeah, that was. I was clear-headed, just like the skies. Grateful alcoholic, Jerry.
Dude, I wanted to give a shout out to my dad. I missed it. I got to text him, but he hit his 30th anniversary on the 26th or the 28th.
That's awesome.
30 years, man. Yeah, that's gangster, dude. But he'll tell me, he always tells me 30 years, it doesn't mean shit. It's one day at a time, Jerry. I'm like, damn it. Will you stop being a fucking AA monk and just fucking take my praise?
You're going to say that in another fucking 25 years. You'll be like, oh, man, doesn't matter.
One day at a time.
One day at a time, man. Just one day at a time.
Go on, grasshopper.
I mean, and it's true. I was talking with my girlfriend last night, and we were just talking about all the changes that are happening physically and mentally and emotionally and all these different things, and kind of coinciding with the weather a little bit, and
Right.
just about the future, and like why do I do the things I do, and who am I doing them for, and what does it mean to like get in shape for my future self, and as opposed to like, well, if it's only one day at a time, why not fucking have the best time that I can here and just say fuck it all, right? But
Right.
I think it's more about I do want to have it one day at a time, but I want tomorrow, assuming that it shows up.
Right.
I want tomorrow to be a positive experience too, and so today is the foundation, right? So it's the
Word. Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's a
you
great
lay
way of
another
looking at
brick,
it.
and you lay another brick, and you lay another brick, and so
Right.
if I quit laying bricks, if I just take a fucking pickaxe to the foundation, I'm not going to have much to stand on, let alone
Nope.
sleep in.
You won't get very many more of those one day at a times. Or
No.
those one day at a times you'll get will be fucking miserable.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I think of. But it was a beautiful day, man. I had one of those days where I think I talked to you a little while back, and I was having some sort of weird listless time where I was having trouble having a day off from anything. And do you remember me talking about that?
Yeah,
And it was
kinda.
just kind of, and I was just like, oh man, and you were like, it sounds like you're not able to just enjoy yourself. And today was one of those days where I got up and I read and I wrote in my journal, and I kind of hemmed and hawed because my body was aching in places, and I was like, I don't know, man, I shouldn't go. I should really make this a rest and recovery day, John. And then
R&R, yeah.
and then I get this thought in the back of my head. It's like, just go out there and just just go. And it's seriously, like, I was like,
I know.
what if you just go a mile, man? Just go a mile. Just see what it feels like to go a mile. And I'm like trying to talk myself into it as I pace around the house and go, all right, well, get in a plank position for a second, do some sit-ups. Like, I don't do like hardcore sit-ups. I just do sort of like, I mean, there's still crunches. I do 100 of them, right?
That's great.
But I just
don't
do the
100.
little, well, I just figured out, well, I do 101 in case I miss count in my head, because I get a little lightheaded sometimes. But, and I went out there, and it was fucking gorgeous, Jerry. It was just it was 65 or 67. The sun was out beaming. The breeze was blowing. The leaves are falling. It was just one of those days, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so glad I got out
today.
here." This was this morning, or this afternoon. Actually, I didn't leave the house until this afternoon, and then I did my usual, which is now, if you can believe it, my usual 5 miles around the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's your use right there,
Fuck, dude.
And there's that one guy sitting in his living room doing something, and you just walk by his house, and he's like, "Oh, it's that guy again."
Right?
There goes that guy. Because we live on a really busy street. People walk up and down all the time. And every morning I get up 6:30 and I open up the blinds. And within 10 to 15 minutes, this old guy with a reflective vest walks by with his dog and his baseball hat. And he's an older guy. He's like in the 70s. And his dog's old as fuck too. And I'm always like, there's that guy. And I always feel like in my heart, I'm like, you got to keep being there, dude. Like, just keep doing that. Yeah, like, you be out there for me, because I'll be out there in a little while. But
Well, and this is a funny thing that you mentioned that, like that consistency and seeing somebody else who has no idea you exist, and that person having some sort of little bit of like inspiration to you, right? So you're like, that old guy's out there, like he goes out there every day, and I'm not out there every day, but one day I'm going to be out there every day because I see him. So I was running, and I was having, this is a few days back, and I was worn out, and I was tired, and it was hot, and I looked over, and like up on the hill where I would go oftentimes, and if you follow me on Instagram at SonicJohn000, you'll sometimes see my my Instagram stories of me on the trail, and I don't know if it was a man or a woman, but I saw a person very small, like running up the hill, and I was like, fuck it, if they can do it, man, I can do it,
Yeah.
And so I just kept going, and and who knows who, like if I'm worn out or if I'm sweaty or if I'm tired, like I stop, I walk, and then I do it again. But people are out there doing their thing, and like I love that idea of you never know who's watching you. So
I think this is part of it, right? I think this is part of I'm having a breakthrough right now. I think this is part of our recovery, is that connectivity, even though you're not actually talking to a person, that connectivity with the world around you, right? Not even society in general, these laws, these fake laws that we have, but just other human beings. Like, I think I go back to the analogy of it all the time, but I feel like I had blinders on all the time, and I just didn't see the world around me. I didn't give a fuck. I was just existing just to get to where I needed to get,
Whiskey.
And it could have been the next drink, yeah, or it could have just been whatever it was I needed to fill up that sadness in me, And now it's like, yeah, I'm still irritable, man. I'm still grouchy. Like, there's all that shit still there. But I like that thing you said. I feel that same way with people. Like, if the day that dude doesn't walk by with his dog, I'm gonna be sad. I'm gonna be like, fuck, you didn't make it out today, Larry. Larry, I hope you're all right. Like, who knows, man. But that connectivity with those people I see every day or all the time, it's I enjoy it. I appreciate it. I savor it now a little bit because I'm like, oh, there you are. Good.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. Even like I said, and you never know who's watching you or me.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You're just running by some dude's window. He's getting ready to close the blinds and just Pornhub it up or whatever, and he looks over and sees you, and he's like, "Not today.
Not today, man. Not today.
Not today."
So we wanted to, a couple of things. I just wanted to say thank you to all of our patrons on Patreon. You make it possible for us to do this. I mean, it is very appreciated, and thank you. There are going to be more bonus episodes on the Patreon website. That's patreon.com/AIFA. We are going to be doing a Halloween movie review.
Oh yeah,
sober,
my favorite movie.
And alcohol. Well, so basically, what we do is we do movie reviews for movies about alcoholism and or recovery. And so we were thinking about what would be a good Halloween movie about alcoholism and or recovery, and The Shining.
Yeah,
right.
We couldn't figure one out. We're like, what Halloween movie deals with alcoholism? And you were like, The Shining, dude. And I was like, oh yeah, dude, absolutely.
And Stephen King himself
has said that we watch the same one. Go ahead. So I didn't mean
is there a difference?
There's like a director's cut and a fucking redo in this, but we'll figure it out.
I just watched the original.
Much difference. Yeah, we'll watch the original.
But yeah, I was just Stephen King said it himself that it was about alcoholism, right?
But it's about relapse. If you read the book is all about Jack Torrance fucking relapsing hard.
So I've never read the book.
But he's relapsing on like ghost whiskey. That's the crazy
What is
part.
that?
It's like a ghost. I'll wait till you're done drinking. It's like a ghost gives him whiskey. Literally is a ghost giving him whiskey. It's almost like the world's worst dry drunk. But it manifests itself. It's supernatural, so it manifests this dry drunk. Manifests itself in like him fucking being drunk. I mean, he even has a rock bottom in the book before, even before all the spookiness starts. But yeah, I've never relapsed. I can imagine it. And when I imagine it, it makes me feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it scares me. It really does. And I don't know if that's healthy or not. I don't know if I should be walking around in fear of it, but.
I think having consciousness about it is good.
Right, or maybe even cautiousness could be a better replacement for the word fear. But I do have fear of it. But it's not like a general anxiety where I'm like always thinking about it. It's just when the thought comes up, like my ass tingles. I get the tingles in my butt, like I'm like, fuck, dude, that is pretty scary, the thought to me. It really, but I got to get over it and just be respectful of it and cautious of it,
I think that's the best that you can, and lay a foundation down to be able to deal with it.
Right. There we go. That foundation, dude.
You know what's coming out in November is the sequel to The Shining, Dr. Sleep. There's a movie. Right. They made a movie.
And that's about alcoholism as well.
Yes. So we may have it set for the next couple of months. But
right.
I didn't tell you what today's letter, the letter M, and Jerry and I were going to talk about maturity.
Maturity, yeah.
Maturity, immaturity.
Immaturity, right? Because yours was that John wordplay at the parenthesis was I'm mature.
I'm mature. Yeah, it'll be in the title. Yeah. Yes. But
just read the title, people.
Just read the title. And I don't think that maturity necessarily means that fart jokes aren't still funny.
No, fart jokes are hilarious. Poop is funny as long as it's not on me. Yeah.
That's another T-shirt
right,
for you. Yeah. Poop is funny as long as it's not on me. Are you on Twitter?
No, I don't like Twitter. It makes my heart sad.
Okay.
Same with Facebook. All that shit, just like I get too manipulated. I get too upset. Yeah. Next thing I know, I'm like trying not to argue with people online, and I'm like,
Did you find it frustrating when you? I mean, would you feel inclined to argue, to comment, to if
I do it
something?
on Instagram, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't argue, but I feel inclined. I have like artists I follow, and they'll like get really politically way out there, and I unfollow them because I don't want to read their stuff because I'm like, I don't want your negativity. I already have enough of that in my life with the news and everything.
Right.
But not to get too political on a recovery podcast. I'm just saying it's okay to have a different opinion than me, but to be like real wild and wacky about it, like I can't fuck with that. Like, and Twitter is full of that shit. So I don't mess with it. Why, you got a Twitter? Of course you got a Twitter. You got A's for Alcoholic Twitter?
I got a bunch of Twitters. I don't really, I mean, honestly.
You for your close-up magic?
Excuse me. I mean, I got one for A's for Alcoholic. I have one. There's one for all the podcasts that we do. But what I end up, ultimately, I just use it as another way to, everything's on Instagram, right? So I just, whenever I post something, it's just attached to it. So it just sends it out that way.
I did it that same way. I attached it to Facebook and Instagram as well.
Yeah, so that's basically it. But you know, that's one thing. You know, we talk about maturity, and I wrote down this list of I went to psychologytoday.com. Yeah. And I wrote down this list of signs of maturity. And you were talking about like just stopping social media altogether because you know yourself and you know what you'll get yourself involved in. And one of the things that that was in here was basically like stop trying to change others and focus on yourself. Yeah. And I thought that's a great example of that. Right. And that comes, you know, we learn that in recovery, like
that's the main brick actually.
Because in alcoholism, you're like, it's somebody else's fault. It's your fault. It's their fault. It's work's fault. It's the store's fault for being closed.
Dude, yeah.
It's my wife's fault. It's my dad's fault. It's the car's fault. It's traffic's fault. It's everybody. So, and then all of a sudden, you know, and I don't want to go too much into the program, but one of the lines or one of the columns when you do the inventory is like, that was told to me, that wasn't in the original text, was, what is your part in this?
Yep. That was the way I was taught too.
And so whenever I hear somebody complain now about something, or even when I feel justifiably angry, and I'm like, so what's my part in this? I mean, how did I allow this person to get under my skin? I must have...
Yeah, and that's the important part, yeah.
So if that's something like, well, I'm on Facebook, maybe I should get off, and I'm angry about it, maybe I should just get off Facebook. Yeah. And you would say your life is infinitely better by not being on Facebook at all.
I think so. I feel a lot less distressed. I mean, I still get distressed by things. I'm really empathetic, though, and I feel like I have like a ton of feelings. Like I didn't really have... Well, I did have before, but they manifest themselves really differently. But like I can feel my heart rate go up and shit when I start reading things or seeing things, and I really do feel like that outrage and that anger is really addictive. You know, it really gives you power. It gives you a hit of dopamine and a hit of power, like my righteous anger, you know, and that just, I already have enough of that. Like, I don't need that extra shit. This is like putting more salt on your salt. Fuck that, dude.
Got a sodium
so
problem
that's
already,
my maturity, but like it's really crazy because I like that we're doing a podcast on maturity because sometimes I doubt my own, but I really do feel like that is the keystone or the main foundation, that cornerstone of recovery is owning your shit, you know, like trying to fix yourself. Because like you said, it's always somebody else's fault, right? It's like that He Won't Get Far on Foot movie where they all had excuses for what they drank. My mother didn't love me. You know what I mean? Like my father didn't love me. My parents beat me. I was heartbroken or whatever. And like, I just drank because I was awake. You know what I mean? Like we all have excuses. It's always somebody else's fucking putting that shit on you. Once you start realizing that, yeah, you went through a lot of shit, but at the end of the day, like, it's you too. It's you
I'm
as well.
the one who chose to drink. I'm the one who decided to pick up.
Right.
And,
Like I could stop drinking, but how am I going to get better so I don't drink again? Because it's guaranteed I'm going to get drunk again. So if I don't get better, if I don't make my brain better,
yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought, I mean, and we can just talk, but I
Let's
thought I would
talk.
go.
Let's chop it up. We're in the right venue for it.
Yes. I thought that I would just go through this list of things and kind of discuss them with you. But the first one was the signs of maturity was being able to keep long-term commitments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not being flaky, I think, because I know that I was always... I mean, I kept a job, but that was out of, like, desperation,
necessity.
fear,
Yeah, desperation and necessity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I think that I had that where I wasn't the kind of drunk who got fired all the time. I found a way to get involved with people who were just as fucked up as I was and could understand and would condone my behavior to a certain extent so that I wouldn't get fired, which is what I think that I was doing. But those long-term commitments, and that's not just, I mean, that includes like a marriage.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were to ask you about your marriage prior to your getting sober, how would you have described it?
This is a fucking shit show. I was good though. Megan and I have always had a really strong bond. So even when things were chaotic, I still think we were show up for each other. But I was so undependable. You could not depend on me for shit.
Yeah.
Anytime she needed me for shit, I'd shit the bed immediately. So I don't know, man. Anytime anything important was gonna go down, man, I'd fuck it up.
But now, how would she describe you now as far as being dependable?
I'm dependable. I'm irritable. I complain about it, but I'm there, and I think I'll get better about it. But I'll complain, and then once I get in it, I have a great time. But even like my birthday, like she depended on me to like kind of keep my shit a little straight and enjoy my birthday and have a good time, and then I just black out. Her birthday, like for us to hang out for her birthday, and we'd go out, and you guys would be there, and we'd throw a big party, and then I'd black out and like fight with her on her birthday, and like. Nobody should be fighting with anybody on their birthday. I mean, I know some people don't believe that shit. Oh, whatever. But you're allowed one special day. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and also just any of that shit. Like, will you do this thing for me? And, like, there's a 50-50 chance that I won't because I'm hungover. And I can't get out of bed, man. Can't do it. Like, I'm just going to lay here and just die. So figure it out.
Hangovers themselves, man, that's a deal breaker right there.
It's like twofold, right? Look at this fucking disease that we have. It's so funny. It's like you're just incapacitated pretty much 100% of the time. You're like, you're so drunk you can't hold life together, and then the next day you're so hungover you can't hold life together. So you get like 4 functioning hours,
And 4 functioning hours, and 3 of those you're like on your way to getting drunk again,
right.
Maybe.
Right.
But I know that, the relationship that I'm in now, we're coming up on 4 years, and that wouldn't have been possible. That would have been impossible. I wasn't interested in
anything long term.
In anything long term. I was interested in, the only long term relationship I was interested in was the one between me and alcohol. Like, really?
Right.
Like, right. How can I make this happen? How can I be, that's what I was committed to.
Yeah. I remember we have a friend who was dating this girl, and she seemed really cool, and they seemed to get along really well, but he broke up with her because she always wanted to do shit on a Monday. And his last day of work was Sunday, and so he was like, I can't do shit on Monday because I'm hungover all day. Like, so, and so they split up because he was like, nah, can't go and go to farmer's market or go to the beach or go to the museum or whatever because I'm going to be hungover and that's my day to be hungover. So if you can't accept that, well then happy trails. And I thought, even in that moment, I was like, that's kind of crazy, but I see it, I understand it. And now I look back and I'm like, that's really fucking wild. Like, Monday's my day to be hungover, baby. If you can't fucking handle it, well, there's the door.
If you can't kick back with me and watch something on DVD and
The Office or whatever,
watch The Office and drink Budweisers and eat pizza, right?
Try
That's
not
crazy.
to throw up, or shit yourself. Then
Right.
we can't fuck with that. But that's typical behavior while you're drinking. That makes sense. It makes sense when you're in it. When you're out of it, you look at it, you're like, that's kind of crazy. But when you're in it, it's like, yeah, of course it's my fucking Friday. That's my Saturday. That's my day to fucking feel like shit.
I worked hard. I earned this.
I earned this drunk. I earned this fucking horrible hangover. I worked really hard to feel like shit today.
Sounds so ridiculous.
I worked really hard to have a migraine and diarrhea today.
Yes. I think, too, my commitment to myself has grown exponentially.
Well, that's why I smiled when you said long-term commitment, because we kind of started the podcast talking about walking and running and fitness, which is like becoming a more common theme in the podcast because we're both getting deeper into it.
Right.
You know, like this kind of bettering ourselves now physically and still trying to better ourselves mentally. They go hand in hand. But yeah, this commitment you've made to yourself, and you've done a great job, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's just every single day that I think about what I'm going to do or what I'm not going to do and how I'm going to feel. There's a quote by there's a Dorothy Parker quote, and she says she says something to the effect of, I hate writing, but I love having written. And so so that's not exactly the perfect analogy, but it's pretty close when I think about things like exercise, fitness, and for me with running. Is there's always those moments in the morning where something will hurt or ache, and whatever, if it's my hip, and I did a couple of new stretches, Jerry, and I think I'm stretching something out that I didn't know was there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where my psoas is, but anyhow, I sometimes hate running, but I love having run. So that's the perspective that I look at making those choices and those commitments to myself, is like, what's the foundation for tomorrow? Because if I don't, how am I going to feel tomorrow, and how many more days? And that momentum that I have used in my recovery to stay sober has gone however many days it is, like 1,500 days or something. So how do I want to feel on the 1,500th and 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever it is? So I kind of apply the same thing to exercise.
And I also think it's important to note that, like, you don't necessarily need to, work out, super crazy or do all that shit to like make your recovery better. It's just kind of what works for us. I mean, you could be totally. I love. John just had a huge coughing fit, and he muted the mic so I can see him over FaceTime, just coughing silently. And it's like,
was that
fucking
fun?
me up. Yeah, that was yeah. So that's why I was taking those pauses. But you don't necessarily. I also want to like say, like, you don't necessarily have to work out.
No.
If you're out there in the world, like, listening to our podcast, going, damn, these guys always talk about fucking working out. I'm just trying to make my fucking self better. Like, it's definitely helpful. It definitely adds a little more spice to the recovery stew. But I think the most important thing for me at the beginning of the day is to make sure that my mental health is fit.
Yes.
To make sure my heart and my head are aligned, like to make sure that I'm being sincere and being kind and being caring and fucking giving a shit about myself and, giving a shit about other people and trying to help, and then from there I start working out and doing all that shit, because I don't have all my mental shit lined up. I love how I just keep saying that through this podcast, but it's true. Like, I don't ever want to portray myself as having it all together,
I don't think maybe you don't have it all together, but you certainly have it.
I got
far
some of
more.
it.
You got some of it together far
I still
more
got
than
marbles
you did.
rolling around though, dude.
You get them lined up, and maybe you get the Augie, and then you're ready to get the
little cat eye.
I don't know.
I got all my cat eyes in a Chivas bag.
I think we're the last generation to even know about marbles.
Right. They're little round pieces of glass, Gen Y and Gen Z.
But, here's something that I do every day that anybody can do. And that is, I write 3 pages in a notebook every single morning. And I've been doing that for a while now, for like a year or 2 maybe. And even if it's just garbage, even like sometimes I go, this is really boring. Looks like the sun's out again. The coffee tastes pretty good today. I need to add a little more cinnamon and so, but I do 3 pages regardless. And you can pick the size of the notebook. I mean, I just use like a regular one, but, and what happens is is it'll start off that way, and it'll start off boring, and then something else I'll start talking about what I'm feeling or what I want to do with the day or something that's been bothering me. And about a page and a half in, something will kick in, and then I'll kind of I'll just roll through that idea or that feeling or that thought. And then by the end of the 3 pages, and there's been a couple of times where I'm like, I'm not done writing. And it's like, well, then you can continue. You can do 4 pages today, John. It's not like you're not allowed to. So it's kind of works things out of my brain so that I can start with a clean slate almost. So I can go, okay, I got that, started to get that gunk out. You know, I would say meditation too. I don't do it all the time. I don't want to.
I haven't done it in a while, but I really liked it when I did do it. Yeah.
But I think that's something that anyone can do. You can pick up a piece of paper. It doesn't even have to be a notebook. If you don't have a notebook, grab a legal pad or whatever.
Long ass CVS receipt. You got
exactly. The inside of a shoebox. I don't, whatever.
If you're in the joint, get some paper from the commissary. You'll be
okay. Whatever, man.
I don't do it. I don't write anything. I write poems every once in a while, but I don't. But this is how we differ, though. These are our we do things differently.
Well, you write poems on the Instagram stories.
I'm sitting on the bus, and I'll listen to a song, and then I'll just start writing things down.
I thought you were going to say you were sitting somewhere else, but
no.
Speaking of maturity, I thought you'd be like, I'm sitting on the
sitting
toilet.
On the pot? No, I can't use both my thumbs then. That time I'm just gripping onto the sides, just hoping it's over.
Do you like doing the poetry on Instagram? I think it's
I love it. I save them all. Yeah.
Well, I think it'll archive them for you, but
yeah. But I save them all in a little folder, so if you go to my page, they'll be. But yeah, I like it because I like pushing out those quick ones. You know what I'm saying? But I like those. I mean, and there's no revisions. I just write them. They're like sketches, and then I just push the sketch out. I just put the sketch out to the world. And then one day I'll probably go through and revise some of them because some of them I really like, but they're just thoughts, you know?
Yeah.
But you remember the way I used to write? I mean, I'd have to write it'd have to be 3 minutes to compete with it. And now I'm like, well, I'm not competing. I'm just enjoying myself now, you know?
We did one. Jerry had this series of poems that kind of struck me, and I took the words and I did
Is that what you did?
And then I did that video where I had Rashida like stirring the drink with her fingers.
Oh yeah, that one. Oh, I thought it was the most recent one you wrote with all the vultures because I really like that poem a lot.
Well, so that poem, thank you. That was just something that I wish
I could, but it's on IGTV, so I can't like it.
You still can.
Oh,
you can like it. You can share it with your friends.
I give you hot fire.
Yeah. But I like that. That one was just like I saw some birds in the sky, and while I was getting some noodles, and then it just occurred to me,
dude.
But whatever it is, and however you express yourself, it's almost not important how good or bad it is for me. It's just I'm throwing it out there, and especially if it's like an Instagram story, it's going to be gone tomorrow. Or unless you save it, whatever. But I just like the act of writing things down really helps ground my day every single morning. And that's something that anybody can do.
Absolutely.
You know, one of the other signs of maturity, and this is something that has a lot to do with your ego, with ego, is they say that you are unshaken by flattery or criticism.
Oh man, that's a hard one, dude.
Right? So
I'm shaken by both. I cannot take a compliment. I cannot, man.
You can't take a compliment or criticism?
Can't. Or criticism, even worse. Yeah, well, I don't know. They run neck and neck, man. People are like, you look good. And I'm like, fuck you. Don't bring it up. Someone's going to make fun of me. Yeah.
So I certainly have been getting better at that in sobriety, in being, I still like to be flattered. I think too, and again, this comes good. I think it comes down to, I don't want to talk about fitness again, but you know, I'm smaller and I'm lighter than I've ever been, and my face is starting to get some definition to it. And so I've run into people I haven't seen in a while. They're like, "You look good," and I was like, "Oh, thank you." And part of me, I think, and sometimes depending on who it is, I say, I fucking hope so, man. I've been really trying hard to do this thing. So, And that's sort of me deflecting that compliment a little bit, instead of just saying thank you. So I'm still susceptible to those things, but I feel like being unflappable will come with time. Is Coco okay?
Probably not. He needs some maturity himself. Somebody paid him a
Seriously.
compliment.
How old is that dog?
He's a year.
Oh, okay.
He shows up at least once every time. He's been quiet all day, but the minute I'm in the room, he's just like, fuck yeah, there's a moth out there. Better fucking let him know who's boss.
And I think as sensitive artists, you and I can be very susceptible to criticism. Like I want people to like everything that I do all the time. And sometimes, I'll share something with my girlfriend and she's very straight up about things. And she'll say like, that's not my style. I don't know why you showed that to me. Or she's like, that's great. And I love you. And I think you should express yourself in every way that you want to, but I don't want to see that, and then there's other times where she's like, wow, that's really beautiful. Thank you. Or, what would really make that work. And
yeah.
I think getting criticism from somebody you trust is helpful than just, random assholes on the internet.
It's way better that way because random asshole on the internet's just trying to hurt your feelings.
So, what about possessing a spirit of humility, Jerry? Do you feel like you are a humble person more so than...
I think like almost to a fault sometimes. Yeah. Well, I guess humility and being humble isn't the same as having bad self-esteem. So I don't know. I think so. I mean, whenever we think about humility and we talk, I think H was for humility, right? Wasn't it? Or humble?
We did that, one of them, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just, I think we always think about like not being vain or not being self-centered, but there's a lot more to it. It's like being connected and being grounded, knowing your place in the world and knowing your place in the world of people around you and shit. And so
knowing the smallness of my existence,
exactly, right?
And knowing
that you are not the center of your universe.
I'm hard. Yeah. So I think that's always something that's helpful to remember when I'm in moments of stress and want to get out of things. Like we always use the grocery store line, but it's a perfect example of I'm just like fucking. I just want to get out of here. I fucking hate this. I am the most important person in here. Let me out.
Give me my shit.
Give me my shit. And being humble and having humility is like, okay, this is all part of a process, and every single person in here feels exactly the same way.
Right, exactly. So I had to deposit money in the ATM today because the bank I didn't want to drive down to the bank, and there's an ATM right next to my house. And I had to deposit rent money. Pardon me. I had to deposit rent money, and so it only can take 30 bills at a time, and I had like all my rent. So I had to break it into sections, and I'm like putting money in and then pressing OK and then deposit more money. And then sometimes I'd mash in too much and it would give me spit the money back. And I look over and it's the process. And this poor lady's just like standing there in the cold, like waiting for me. And I felt so fucking bad that I just like got the card and pulled it out. And I'm like, after you. And I went to the store, and it's like being aware of people around you. Maybe not to a fault, but just enough that like, you know what? Maybe this lady just needs to take $20 out so she can go get violin lessons or for a kid or whatever. That's so specific, but you know what I mean? Because we're right by a music place or whatever. She probably only needs to take $20 out, and she's gonna be standing here waiting for me for at least 3 to 4 to 5 minutes of me putting money in, resetting, putting money in, because it's such a process, So I think sometimes. I don't know, man. I let people cut in front of me at a line at the store all the time, too.
That's good.
It makes me feel good. It's a little act, And for me, I'm like, man, I can wait a little bit. Like, you know what, lady? You got this kid. They're crying.
Right.
You got to get all their little bug juices and whatever else the kids do. And, like, go ahead. Even if it's a full basket, like, just go ahead, man. I'm just some dude getting coffee. Like,
and I've got plenty of time,
Yeah, right? Yeah. Like, the wife and the kid are at home. They're fine. They're not waiting on me to bring back my yogurt for tomorrow,
Yeah.
So I think those little acts of kindness, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I think that has a lot to do with humility. Being
self-awareness. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's a huge thing that I certainly need to practice more and more. I'm very good at pointing out the lack of self-awareness in others, and so that's a whole like another thing of me being judgmental and going like,
Yeah,
what's wrong with the world?
I just was yelling at people today in traffic. Like I wasn't yelling at him. I was just in my car, like, fucking really, dude. You know, like, but yeah, but once again, it's just part of the thing. You know,
Yeah.
It's like, is what it is. You know?
And decisions. Here's another one that was decisions are based on character, not feeling. So
that's a good one.
so like the way that I interpret that is, you know, my character is based on a way that I the way that I react to something, the way that I behave, and that's regardless of what happens outside of me, right? My character is something that I hold with me, and that is a static, or not necessarily static, but that's how I react to everything. So regardless of what the thing is, I'm going to react the same. I'm not going to lash out when I'm angry. I'm not going to make a decision when I am so happy and overjoyed that I may regret later because of some reason. You know, if I'm like, oh man, it would be so great to spend all this money, and then go, oh, well, I was just in the throes of feeling really good and now I regret spending this money, or I can't believe I yelled at that person. And so that idea of having good character, or at least trying to have good character, means that I will not react. And, you know, it's funny. Here's a quote from Walter, and he said something to the effect of, a man at the mercy of his emotions is a man something like, at the man at the mercy of his emotions is a man at the mercy of his weakest self.
Wow.
And I don't know what he was. I don't know.
Saw that on a matchbook in a bar.
Probably.
It's great though.
But that's kind of that thing of like my character.
He'll tell you, oh yeah, I read that in A Boy's Life from 1975, an old Boy Scout magazine. It's
I'm gonna have to ask him about it.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about character, at least my character, and trying to have character. Just because you are a character doesn't mean you have character.
Yeah. What's that from? It's like Pulp Fiction or something.
Yeah, it's Harvey Keitel in Pulp Fiction.
You know, I've there you go. It's in the fish tank. Are you getting sick?
No, I don't know. I just get a little phlegmy.
You just can't
Sorry,
stop
guys.
the march of time there, buddy. You
I
can't
know.
stop the march of time. No, but I've been listening more lately. Mm-hmm. Like whenever people talk to me about their problems, there's this gut reaction to like want to fix it for them.
Sure.
Like give them solutions, tell them what they need to do.
Sure.
And like my little girl the other day was having a super hard time just with life. She's 9. Life is hard. She's little. She has no power. You know what I mean? Like things are frustrating. School year's new. And she was trying to do her homework and she like broke down in tears. And usually I get real frustrated with her because I'm like, don't fucking cry. Just do your homework and we'll be done. And then you can cry all you want afterwards. I mean, if that's the route you want to take, you know. But I'm like, well, why are you crying? And so she just started talking and I just let her fucking talk. Like I didn't give her any answers. I just let her talk. And she talked, man. She like talked my ear off and cried. And then afterwards she sighed really heavy and she's like, thanks for listening, you know. And I'm like, yeah, dude. Sometimes you just gotta listen.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, and so, but that decision based on emotion, I would have just been like, well, you need to do this, and you need to tell them this, and I'll go in and do this, and you need to do that, you know? Mm-hmm. The only thing I gave her any input on, and it made her gasp, was she was like, I worry about what people think about me sometimes. And I just looked at her dead in the face as 9-year-old, and I go, fuck them. And she was like clutched her little 9-year-old version of pearls.
Yes.
Said, fuck them, who cares what they think about you? I'm like, that holds no weight in your life. I'm like, you're rad. Don't worry about it. And I know that I'm obligated to tell you how you're rad because I'm your dad, but believe me, like, you're cool, man.
Jerry,
even what they think is, yeah.
That's something she's going to be saying that at some acceptance speech on stage one of these days, like 20 years down the road.
She's a valedictorian at her high school. She's going to be like, my dad, and blah, blah, blah. And my dad said, you know what? Fuck them. So you know what, all you people out there? Fuck you. I'm out. Just drop the mic. I'd be so proud of her. Just slow clap in the back of the auditorium.
Crying, wiping a tear.
Yeah. You know, you heard her. Fuck all you people. And I'm out.
Yes.
Yes. It was But I mean, like and I do it with my wife now too. Like I just listen because I always want to solve their shit for them, and I'm like, why? They've made it this far. Well, maybe not the 9-year-old. I still gotta tie her shoes and shit. But like Megan's made it this far, and at work too. I have a hard time at work because it's a bunch of dudes, and all we want to do is solve each other's problems for each other. And sometimes I'm just like, yo, dude, I'm feeling bad about things, and I just need to say it out loud. We're all right. Thanks for the input. I don't even argue anymore. I just go, thanks, I'll do that. And I just fucking brush them off, Yeah. But I think that's my example.
That's great, man. And that kind of ties in with this other one about knowing how to prioritize others before ourselves.
Right.
And so that idea of like, what is the situation rather than how am I affected by it?
Right.
Mm-hmm. How do I navigate, but yeah, what is the situation? Is there an issue? And how do we collectively resolve the conflict, the problem, the bad feeling?
Right.
Rather than how do I get out of feeling bad in this bad situation?
Right. And that's the difference between saying you're sorry because you genuinely mean it and saying you're sorry so that they'll just give you money or whatever you need.
But
do you know what I'm saying? Or just get out of your fucking face. Like, yeah, I'm sorry I called you a bitch and threw a phone at you last night. Mm-hmm. What are you getting all mad about? I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry. It doesn't mean shit.
I said I'm
you
sorry.
Know what I mean?
No.
Like, yeah. Don't be calling anybody bitch throwing a phone at them.
No,
that's my advice. If I have to give any advice,
that's very good advice.
You're right.
It's never going to end well, and again, I would have to ask myself, how did I get here? How did I get to the situation where I'm throwing a phone at somebody, calling them a bitch?
Right. But it's that sincere, like, apologizing and then not doing the shit you apologized about. Yeah, just don't do that shit again.
But
you don't have to
the thing with you listening to your daughter, like you prioritize this other person.
Yeah. And I wanted to solve her shit though. There was a voice in my head that was like, we need to fucking handle this. And I was like, had to really tamp that voice down and be like, just sit here and be present, Yeah. That's probably like when Rashida hits you up about stuff and just wants to express shit to you. And I really honestly believe that there's just something in our brains that just wants to fix it for people.
I've noticed with her, and there have been some occasions where she'll have something to share with me, and I will totally listen. I won't say anything, and I'll even kind of wait a little while, and where she will actually ask me, "Do you have any thoughts on that?" And it's like,
That's
"Oh, okay."
Pick up the mantle. Yes,
yeah.
I do.
Well, by the way, and
quite a few.
No, but yeah, so it is it's super important that the experience of our relationship and the experience of that conversation, if I prioritize her, especially if she's having difficulty, even if she just had a bad day or a bad phone call or whatever it is, that if I prioritize her feelings about it, I'm not interested in like, oh, well, you know what you need to do, or, well, you know what you need to tell that person. It's like, she hasn't even finished. So giving the other person some time to finish their thoughts and express their feelings and just get it out, man, because I mean, that's a lot of what this whole recovery deal is, man, is just getting it out and getting the poison out. And so if we can learn to do that in healthy doses when we do get some unfortunate emotional poison in us from the day's events, if we can vent it out a little bit, and then we don't have to, it doesn't have to be pent up and then released in some fucking angry, rageful, drunken, whatever your issue is,
Right. Mm-hmm.
So,
or even in recovery, just throwing it out there in some mean little, angry little passive-aggressive dart. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
So that's kind of something that I've learned too, and maybe, I could offer some advice, but I always like to wait and see if somebody asks for it, like, hey, do you have any thoughts on that? And it's like, well, yeah, I do. Otherwise, sometimes they're not concerned with what you think about it. They're just looking for a moment to unload.
Well, just like in recovery for us, it feels better to fucking drop it all off. Do you know
Oh.
what I mean? Like, you don't even got to pick it up. I'm just going to drop this on the ground in front of us both, and then we'll
Yes.
walk away from it, and I'll feel better just knowing that you were present, Like,
I'm gonna say this
Yeah.
in front of a group full of people, and then I'm gonna feel better about it. And there's gonna be like,
right.
oh, okay, I don't have to, or to give it up to a group or God or your significant other or whoever, and it just makes your burden a little bit lighter. So I think that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. That'll do. That'll do.
This is another one that I really liked was expresses gratitude consistently.
Yeah, that's a good one, man.
So
Entitlement, dude. Entitlement, right? That's a big one in active alcoholism.
and that's definitely
Very big.
I deserve this. Well, we just talked about it. I earned this drunk, and I earned this hangover. This hangover's mine, and you can't take it away from me. This drink is mine. I earned it. I worked hard all day without a drink. And if I think I couldn't imagine that now.
I try to practice that in the sense of in recovery. Where I practice this the most is at restaurants.
Gratitude.
It's really funny. Yeah, because this person's doing this job. This job sucks. I was a service industry person. Do you know what I mean? Pardon. I try not to be rude to people. I hope I'm not too rude to people. But, like, I know people who go to restaurants, and if it's, they just expect the world given to them. And they'll be like, it fucking sucked, and I didn't blah, blah, blah. I deserve better. I'm paying money for this. I deserve better. And I'm like, nah, dude. Like, if you didn't like it, that's fine. Just don't go back again. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess it's that entitlement. Entitlement's big. Feeling like you're owed something. Or entitlement also goes the other way in the sense that you feel like the world is against you. Like, all of a sudden, you're the most important thing in society, that it's got to be all against you,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to or a good situation. I know that as somebody who works in restaurants and has for a very long time and continues to do so, people who are gracious and kind are the people I am more than excited to get back to and make sure
Right.
that their water is filled. And this is
You
we're not
hook
even
them up with a little extra, too. You're
anything
like,
that I
put
can.
Put a
Yeah.
little extra zazz in that fucking pasta sauce or whatever.
Anything.
Do you know what I mean? Or whatever.
So
Here's a free dessert, cool guy. You're
exactly.
Thank you.
I'll give you an example. I had a very busy night on Saturday night. We did almost more covers than the restaurant ever had, which says a lot
That's
going
rad.
on, right?
Yeah.
And this older couple comes in, and they're from like Pittsburgh or something. Like, I think he said Pittsburgh. And I've never been to Pittsburgh. I don't know what Pittsburgh's like, but they were very sweet and nice, and they ordered a couple of pizzas, and they got a couple glasses of wine. Now, I am still, like, the way the computer system's set up, I don't want to bore you for too long, but, like, pizzas go in as a course 2, and if you don't fire that course 2 right away, the kitchen won't start cooking the pizzas until you fire course 2, unless you put it into course 1. That being said, I basically forgot to fire these pizzas.
Oh,
and so
shit.
they had to wait a little bit longer. But I said, I'm a professional, and I'm chatting with them and making them feel good. And I noticed that their first glass of wine was a little bit down, so I came over with the bottle and I said, I'm terribly sorry for the wait. It's only going to be a few more moments. And that's what I always say, because minutes can be counted, right? But if I say moments...
Moments. Yeah, I caught that immediately. Sneaky, man.
Well, I don't want to get caught up in something I promise I can't deliver.
Don't make no promises. Yeah, exactly.
But so I top off their wine a little bit, and I go, and they loved it, and they had to wait an extra 10 minutes for their pizzas, but they loved the pizzas, they loved the wine, they had a great time, they were super cool. Mr. and Mrs. Swanson from Pittsburgh, they were awesome. So, like,
big ups to you. You're probably not listening because you've been drinking wine. So,
but their graciousness really made it easy for me. And again, I made a mistake. I'm human. They don't need to know that it was my mistake, but but I also didn't blame anybody else. I just said it's going to take as long as it's going to take.
Right. But interesting, though, because think about, and I don't know these people, but think about how they must travel through their lives, right? If they're showing this example to you of them being understanding, of them being grateful of being in the position they're in at the moment, do you know what I'm saying? Like, think about that lack of entitlement in their lives. They must enjoy their life more because they don't feel like they're owed anything. They're just having the string of experiences, being positive or negative, and just kind of floating through them. And that, I feel like that's a really good way to try to be. Is just you're not owed anything. You just have this string of experiences, and they're either painful or not. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know, but. It's hard. It's hard.
It's funny
but,
you say that because I remember now that he said to me when I told him I'm terribly sorry, and he's like, "Man," or he said something to the effect of, "We're not in a hurry. We don't have anywhere to be." And I was like, "That's cool, I mean, you're here right now. We're gonna enjoy it when it comes, and we're gonna sip on this wine that you so graciously poured us a little bit more of, and
some free breadsticks."
Exactly. So just having and expressing that gratitude and being grateful and for me to be grateful to have that experience with them that I would later talk about it, that I would remember. I don't really remember.
And it's like a positive hit for you too. So what could have been incredibly negative, ends up being this thing that like is now in your memory, probably short-term memory, but still it like makes you feel good. You're like, hey, I feel like I did my job well. I feel like I served these people, made them happy, and fulfilled my end of the deal for what I'm getting paid for. So yeah. Hell yeah.
And I know that I expressing gratitude consistently, it's another one of those things that's foundational, that if I do it now and then I do it a little bit later and I do it tomorrow and I do it the next day and I do it the next day, it continues to get easier and easier and easier. I think that earlier this year I talked about, how I would occasionally get depressed and it would hit me really heavy for like 2 or 3 days. I haven't had that experience in, I don't know, 6 months or something like that. And, knock on wood, but I just try to be as grateful as possible. And I know it sounds so cliched and corny to just focus on the gratitude and change your perspective. But if I focus on the gratitude and I change my perspective, it's a momentum. It's a snowball.
It works for you.
It works,
and I try it too, and it does when I actually get it just right. It works really well. It takes me a minute sometimes, but if I get it just right and slide it in, slide all that shit into place, like it really does. It's very effective because this is what I have, and this is what I'm glad I have right now.
Yeah,
I'm so glad I have it. I am. I feel gratitude for it quite a bit. Like I'm so glad I have this now. This is so much better than the examples around me, and so much better than the example I live with, so
yeah.
Hell yeah. Yay sobriety.
Yes. So this one too, I got 2 more that I want to share with you, Jerry. And this one is definitely one that works in recovery or correlates with recovery is another sign of maturity is seeking wisdom before acting. And I kind of translate that as asking for help.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. So instead of going, I don't know, I should just try anything, or I don't know, I should do absolutely nothing. I go, well, as I mature, if I don't know something, I look for people who are already doing the thing that I want to do, or who already know the thing that I want to know. And I say, how do you do that thing? How do you know that thing? And I know that sounds simple, but I didn't always look at it that way.
Yeah.
I was very much, a reactionary individual who would fly off the handle, or I was very prone to inaction. And I think that you could relate to that one too. About just going, oh, it's all fucked anyway. I might as well.
Fuck it. Avoidance. Yeah.
Rent's $900 and it's due tomorrow, and I only have $200, so I might as well just blow that $200 on fucking booze.
Right. And I'll just fucking pay a late fee or get evicted. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And so seeking the wisdom before taking action, I think is that reaching out for help.
Well, I also feel like it has a lot to do with that pause I always hear about, right? That they talk about in the rooms where for every year you have a recovery, they say you get an additional second of pause before you react, And it's always that's what it sounds like to me, is that moment of pause before doing something that will fuck everything up.
Yeah.
Or, doing something that makes it the most awesome decision ever. But it's still good to contemplate it, think about it, seek wisdom. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I also think if something doesn't, if something doesn't feel 100% right to me, my inclination is to say no, absolutely not. But I do like the idea of doing a little more research on things where I'm kind of like, I'd like that to be true, or I'm not really sure, or when we were I had a meeting with this guy who was a publisher of some kind, and we were, you and I had been
How'd that go?
It went better than I thought, because I was very skeptical, and he had some good information, and he didn't try to hard sell me, and he basically laid out, here's what I can do for you. And I thought to myself, I really wish I had $1,000 to put you on retainer right now, and this sounds really cool. And he showed me a book and a book proposal he had done for Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Wow.
I know, right?
Rest in peace, dog. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. So it actually went really, really well. It went better than I thought. And my first reaction was, man, I could barely understand this dude on the phone. And I don't know, I'm going to go meet him at this burger joint for a cup of coffee. Everything seems fucking weird about this. But I was like, So I'm going to do some more research. And, the book is still not quite finished, but it was good. So I feel like it was a positive experience, and I'm glad that I did it. And even though it wasn't like 100%, yes, let's do this right now, I gained a little bit of knowledge. So I'm seeking wisdom before acting, and that's part of what this whole process is for getting this book published. So any of you listeners out there, if you know anybody who is in the recovery book publishing game, please hit us up, because we do have a project we have been working on for fucking too long. And that's mostly my fault. Jerry has come through when asked.
Time takes time.
But yeah, so seeking wisdom before acting and asking for help. And the final one, which I know will be one of your favorites, I know it's one of your favorites, is acceptance.
Right.
And
right.
I think that everybody has, and correct me if I'm wrong, but everybody has a different cornerstone for their sobriety. Whether it be service, whether it be, in our particular program, step work. But I would say that like acceptance has been one of the cornerstones of yours that I've noticed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
right.
Just making acceptance the default program for you helps you to deal with the next step of whether you like something or not.
Well, I'd spent my entire life fighting everything, and I'm still a contrarian, but at least at this point once again, here's where I am at. I'm exactly where I need to be right now. I can't swim forward and I can't swim backwards. I'm just in it. I'm in this moment, so yeah, we got to go do this shit that I don't want to do. I'll bitch a little bit, then I'll go do it because it needs to get done. So I'll accept it. I'll just let it. I just let it take me over, because if I don't let it take me over, then I'm gonna fight, and that's how you drown, man. I don't want to drown. You know what I mean? Emotionally.
Right. No, but that's true. That's a good analogy. When you think if you can't swim, you should just float instead of trying to fight it.
Yeah, exactly. Because then you won't get exhausted. It's futile. I always use the analogy. I'll use it till the day I die, probably, of the man screaming at the sea, "Fuck you for being the sea." The sea's gonna keep being the sea. There's nothing you can do. The ocean will always be the ocean, and you being mad at it will not change it. It's just like people getting pissed that the weather is bad. I fucking hate this weather. Fuck this weather. Yeah, the weather sucks. It's cold. But you being mad at the weather, all you are is mad. That's it. It's still going to fucking rain. Nature doesn't give a shit about you. Like, it doesn't matter. It's still going to be cold. So accept it. Put on a jacket. Realize true. You live in the Pacific Northwest. It's cold up here.
Yeah, man.
So acceptance is a great thing. You can fight. You can sit there and swing at the air all night, and it's not going to help you. Or you can just, this is it. This is where I'm at. I might as well try to get something from it. Or not. Or just experience it. Just like when you go on your runs and see your do your videos of dogs and birds and shit. And, like,
Yeah.
you're like, this is where I'm at. I'm in this moment, and this is the moment I need to be in, because this is what's happening, regardless of what, you know. Yeah, I could
Regardless of anything.
could have taken 10 extra minutes this morning to get ready and not been in this moment, you know, and it could have been positive, but I didn't, so here I am. So yeah, peed my pants on the bus or whatever, you know.
Is that going to be the next Instagram
This
poem?
has never been my experience
No.
in sobriety, not in recovery. Yeah,
No.
but you know, yeah, that'll be my next Instagram poem, just straight peeing on the bus, like a G, like a true G. But yeah, I love acceptance, and I am, you know, we all human. We all have our faults, and we can work with them or work against them. You know, working with them makes it easier, though.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Acceptance is huge, and it was, like you said, it's either resistance or acceptance, and
That's
acceptance is
Right.
always, it's always that sigh of relief, and I go, okay, even if it's, I don't want to do this.
Right, which is like receptance, where you mix them both
Mm-hmm.
together, but you still end up with that acceptance at the end. You can have a little riz, but then make sure you end it with some acceptance, and that's what I do sometimes. Like I said, I don't want to, but then I'm in it, and I'm fucking in a cowboy costume, fucking doing finger guns, dressed up like Zorro, cracking a whip in a small room. I should send you some of those other pictures, because that shit got weird. But like,
Can we see some of those, or are those for crowded?
No,
Cronin.
No, I'll have Megan give me some. Yeah, I'll send them to you.
All right.
But it's those things where I like at the beginning of the day, I was like, I don't want to do this. I want my weekend. Like, I don't get weekends because you keep making me do this. And then when I get there, I'm like, it's showtime, Jerry.
You got the bug. You got the modeling bug.
I'm just in the bathroom looking at myself being like, are you going to fucking bring gold or not? Because if you're not going to bring gold, get back in the car. Go to Carl's Jr. Just give it up now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'd say I brought, like, silver.
That's
A little bit of
respectable.
gold. Hey,
Yes.
silver's respectable. I'm
Yes.
still on the podium. I brought some gold, but not all gold.
Not all gold. Well,
I'm not doing it next weekend, though.
you're not?
I've accepted that I will not do it next weekend yet. I'm like, just give me one weekend where I don't have to do something every day. Where I can just have one day where I'm just a sack of garbage for one day.
I
just
love
want
how
one day.
you'll spend 8 hours creating costumes for your characters in all these fucking video games. Like, I've played games with you, and your characters look absolutely ridiculous, but you won't do it in real life.
No, because that means I have to get up and go somewhere, and
Yeah.
then I have to bring an avocado and an apple and a fucking sweet potato and an egg and shit.
Or else
and I'm like,
you're eating birthday cake and beef jerky all day.
birthday cake and some old Papa's pizza
That's
was
right.
my lunch. Oh, and a cupcake too. That wasn't smart. I'm paying for it. Well, I'm not really paying for it. I'm paying for it with my emotions.
Yes,
I'm like,
well,
dang, Jerry, could have done better.
and you will.
I will, yeah, whatever. It's just another day. I've accepted. I had a blast.
Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.